He thinks the COVID vaccine is the most dangerous vaccine ever made. He drinks raw milk because he doesn't believe in pasteurization, which is interesting since it's because of pasteurization that milk no longer contains E. coli and salmonella and listeria and campylobacter. He believes that SARS-CoV-2 virus was created in the laboratory, which is wrong. It was an animal to human spillover event. He believes that not only that the virus was specifically engineered by scientists to attack whites and blacks, but spare Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. He does not think that HIV is the cause of AIDS. This is a man who you want to have as head of the Department of Health and Human Services. I'm actually in the middle of reading his book, which I don't recommend for anybody, called The Real Anthony Fauci, the subtitle of which is Bill Gates, Big Pharma, and the Global War on Democracy and Public Health. All right, that's the name of this book. It's basically a book written by a deeply paranoid conspiracy theorist, is the way this reads. But one thing he says in the book that's gotten no play that I think people should talk about is that he doesn't believe in the germ theory. Okay, I don't know what the criteria are for being head of Health and Human Services. I would like to think that's one of them. So it's frightening. I think, and then you have Marty McCary as head of FBI, as head of FDA. You have Jay Bhattacharya as head of NIH, and then potentially Dave Williams as head of the CDC.
We'll get to all of those in a minute, but I just want to ask you, because we don't live in a bubble or in a negative air supply room, isolated from the rest of the world. The humans don't. What do you think that the mistakes that were made in, I don't even call them leaders anymore, managers of the COVID pandemic created the opening for this kind of lunacy? For example, Dr. Fauci told us, don't wear masks because they don't work. Then he said very gleefully, wear 2 masks because I wear 2 masks. If one's good, 2 are better than none. Stay 6 feet apart. Close the schools. None of that was based on any real data. It was on a gut feeling that it worked. And it was given to us as absolute gospel. And if you disagreed, anyone who disagreed publicly with it was shamed. Did that have an impact on how people feel today and why they don't trust us in the exam room?
Here's my sense of what happened. You're absolutely right that there has been a major loss of trust in public health agencies, and that major loss of trust occurred during this pandemic. I think you always learn as you go, and I think anybody who has commented on this pandemic starting from the beginning in late 2019 has at some point gotten it wrong, because you learn as you go. I think what the two things that I saw causing this are, one, in 2020, when the virus came in and started killing people as early as February of 2020, we didn't have anything, right? We didn't have antivirals till October. We didn't have monoclonals till November. We didn't have vaccines till December. For a virus that was spread asymptomatically, for a virus that was potentially fatal, where you would have hundreds and then thousands of deaths, and you had nothing other than avoid human-to-human contact. Did we definitely lessen the spread of that virus by doing what we did, meaning close schools, shutter businesses, restrict travel, isolate, quarantine, mask, distance? Yes, we definitely did. And the question is at what price? But we typically see coming into our hospital in October, November are flooded. We're usually flooded with RSV, flooded with flu. We saw not one case of RSV or flu in the winter of 2020, 2021. That's amazing. So did we save lives doing that? Yes. Was it somewhat of an overreach? Yes, I do. I think we've learned that in retrospect. Then in 2020, but people didn't like that. They didn't like it. They thought this was government overreach. They thought it was way too heavy-handed. They thought it was delivered, that the messages were delivered in a pedantic and condescending manner, and they didn't feel they were part of the process, and that made them angry.